You're not welcome at my engagement party. Don't embarrass yourself by showing up. That single text from my sister destroyed our family's perfect facade, but what I discovered about why she sent it would destroy something much bigger, her entire world built on lies and stolen dreams. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow, I've saved something extra special for you. My name is Deanna Castellanos, and until 6 months ago, I believed that family loyalty was sacred, that blood bonds were unbreakable, and that hard work would always be recognized. I was wrong about all three, but being wrong about those things taught me something far more valuable, that sometimes the people who hurt you the most also hand you the keys to their own destruction. This story begins on a Tuesday morning in September, sitting in my cramped studio apartment in downtown Phoenix, staring at a text message that would reshape everything I thought I knew about my life. But to understand why that message hit like a physical blow, you need to understand the foundation it shattered. I grew up believing my sister Carmen was my closest ally. We shared everything: clothes, secrets, dreams, and most importantly, a vision for the creative agency we would build together someday. Carmen was 2 years older, naturally charismatic, and possessed an effortless charm that made people gravitate toward her. I was the strategist, the detail-oriented one who turned her brilliant ideas into actionable plans. Our partnership seemed destined from childhood. While other siblings competed, we collaborated. Carmen would sketch out elaborate marketing campaigns on napkins during family dinners, and I would spend hours afterward researching target demographics, cost projections, and implementation timelines. Our parents, Maria and Roberto Castellanos, owned a small but successful chain of Mexican restaurants throughout Arizona. They often joked that their daughters would revolutionize their marketing approach once we finished our education. Carmen studied communications and graphic design at Arizona State University, while I pursued business administration and digital marketing at the same institution. We deliberately chose complementary fields, planning for the day we would launch Castellanos Creative Solutions. The name rolled off our tongues like a promise we made to each other and to the future we would build. During college, we refined our vision. Carmen excelled at the creative conceptualization that clients remembered long after meetings ended. She could walk into a room and instantly understand the emotional core of a brand, then articulate that vision in ways that made executives lean forward in their chairs. Meanwhile, I developed expertise in the operational systems that transformed creative concepts into profitable realities. I understood conversion metrics, customer acquisition costs, and the intricate details of campaign optimization that separated successful agencies from creative dreamers. Our complementary skills created something powerful. During our junior year, we began taking on small freelance projects together. Carmen would handle the initial client consultation and creative direction, while I managed project timelines, budget allocation, and performance analysis. The results exceeded our expectations consistently. Local businesses started referring us to their networks. Our reputation grew organically through word-of-mouth recommendations. By our senior year, Castellanos Creative Solutions existed in everything but legal documentation. We had steady clients, proven results, and a clear path forward. The plan was simple: graduate, formalize the business structure, secure initial funding through a combination of savings and a small business loan, then launch officially within 6 months of graduation. The first sign something was changing came during our final semester. Carmen began mentioning Derek Martinez more frequently in our conversations. Derek was a business development specialist she had met through a mutual friend, someone with connections in the corporate consulting world. Initially, I welcomed his involvement. Carmen described him as someone who could help us access larger clients and more sophisticated projects. Derek possessed the kind of polished professionalism that opened doors in Phoenix's business community. He wore expensive suits, drove a luxury sedan, and spoke with the confidence of someone who had never questioned his right to occupy prestigious spaces. When Carmen first introduced us, he seemed genuinely interested in our agency concept and offered insights about scaling creative businesses. However, Derek's suggestions gradually shifted our discussions away from the partnership Carmen and I had envisioned. He questioned whether two equal partners could effectively manage client relationships and business development simultaneously. He proposed alternative structures where responsibilities would be more clearly delineated. with one person handling external relationships while the other managed internal operations. At first, these conversations felt like strategic planning sessions. Derek would present case studies of successful agencies and point out how clear hierarchies had contributed to their growth. Carmen began nodding along with his analysis, occasionally glancing at me as if seeking confirmation that I understood the logic of his recommendations. I felt uncomfortable with the direction these discussions were taking, but I trusted Carmen's judgment. She had always been better at reading people and understanding social dynamics. If she believed Derek's insights could accelerate our success, I was willing to consider modifications to our original plan. The changes started subtly. Carmen began scheduling client meetings during times when I had classes or work commitments. When I mentioned wanting to participate in these sessions, she assured me that she would brief me thoroughly afterward, and that my presence wasn't necessary for preliminary discussions. Gradually, Carmen's briefings became less detailed. Instead of comprehensive summaries of client needs and project parameters, I received abbreviated updates focusing primarily on deliverable deadlines and budget constraints. When I asked for more context about client personalities, industry challenges, or strategic objectives, Carmen seemed impatient with my questions. "You don't need to worry about the relationship management aspects," she would say. "Just focus on making sure we deliver exceptional work on time and within budget. That's where your strengths really shine." This division of labor felt increasingly restrictive, but I convinced myself that it represented a natural evolution of our partnership. Perhaps Carmen was right that we needed to leverage our individual strengths more strategically as we prepared to scale the business. Meanwhile, Derek's presence in our planning discussions became more prominent. Carmen frequently referenced his advice when explaining new procedures or policy changes. She would preface suggestions with phrases like, "Derek thinks we should consider," or "Derek's experience with similar agencies shows that." I began to feel like a junior partner in the business I had helped conceptualize and develop. The collaborative dynamic that had defined our relationship throughout college was being replaced by a more hierarchical structure, where Carmen made strategic decisions and I implemented them. 3 months before graduation, Carmen announced that she had secured our first major corporate client, Southwestern Marketing Solutions, a mid-sized firm that managed campaigns for several prominent Arizona businesses. The contract was worth more than all our previous projects combined, and Carmen was ecstatic about the opportunity. However, when I asked to review the contract terms and project specifications, Carmen became evasive. She explained that the client preferred to work directly with the primary account manager, and that my involvement at this stage might confuse the communication process. "Once we prove ourselves with this project, there will be plenty of opportunities for you to work directly with corporate clients," she assured me. "Right now, they need to see that we can deliver exactly what we promised without any complications." I felt excluded from the most significant opportunity our partnership had generated, but I rationalized Carmen's explanation. Corporate clients often had complex approval processes and preferred streamlined communication channels. If Carmen's approach secured the contract, I could accept a supporting role initially. What troubled me more was the secrecy surrounding the project details. Carmen worked on the corporate campaign during hours when I was unavailable, using her personal laptop instead of the shared workspace we had established for Castellanos Creative Solutions. When I offered to help with research, content creation, or performance analysis, she deflected my offers with vague explanations about client confidentiality requirements. The distance between us widened as Carmen spent increasing amounts of time with Derek, often meeting at upscale restaurants and networking events that I wasn't invited to attend. When I mentioned feeling left out of these business development activities, Carmen explained that Derek was introducing her to potential clients and investors who might be interested in funding our expansion. "These are relationship-building dinners," she said. "Very informal, mostly social. You wouldn't find them interesting. And honestly, it might seem unprofessional to bring someone who isn't directly involved in the business development process." 2 weeks before graduation, I discovered that Carmen had filed incorporation papers for a business called Martinez Creative Consulting. The registered address was Derek's office building, and the listed partners were Carmen Castellanos and Derek Martinez. There was no mention of Diana Castellanos, anywhere in the documentation. I confronted Carmen that evening, expecting an explanation that would clarify what seemed like a misunderstanding. Instead, she seemed annoyed that I had discovered the filing. "We were going to discuss this after graduation," she said. "Derek thinks it makes more sense to establish the business with a more professional structure. You can still be involved, but as a contractor rather than a partner. It's actually better for tax purposes." The betrayal felt like a physical wound. Everything we had planned, everything I had contributed to building, was being restructured without my input or consent. The name we had chosen together, Castellanos Creative Solutions, had been abandoned in favor of a brand that centered Derek's surname and excluded mine entirely. "What about everything we built together?" I asked. "The clients we developed, the processes we created, the vision we shared?" Carmen's response revealed how completely our relationship had been redefined in her mind. "You can keep working on the projects you've been handling," she said. "Nothing really needs to change in terms of your day-to-day responsibilities. But Derek has connections and experience that we need to scale properly. This structure protects everyone's interests." I realized that Carmen no longer saw me as a partner or even as a creative collaborator. I had become, in her view, a talented employee whose contributions were valuable but not essential to the strategic direction of the business. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. Graduation came and went without the celebration Carmen and I had once planned. She was busy with client meetings and business planning sessions that no longer included me. We maintained a polite but strained relationship, communicating primarily about project handovers and administrative details. I spent the summer working temporary jobs while trying to process the dissolution of everything I had planned for my professional future. Carmen and Derek officially launched Martinez Creative Consulting in July, occupying a sleek office space in Scottsdale's business district. They hired additional staff and began pursuing contracts with larger corporate clients. Meanwhile, I attempted to rebuild my career independently. I reached out to the smaller clients I had worked with during college, offering to continue managing their projects under my own consulting practice. Some remained loyal, but others had already transitioned their business to Carmen's new firm. The personal relationship between Carmen and me deteriorated further during this period. She seemed to view my independent consulting work as competition, rather than a natural consequence of her decision to exclude me from Martinez Creative Consulting. Our interactions became increasingly formal and distant. Which brings me back to that Tuesday morning in September, 6 months after graduation, when I received the text message that would change everything. "You're not welcome at my engagement party. Don't embarrass yourself by showing up." I stared at the message for several minutes, trying to process what I was reading. Carmen was engaged? To Derek, presumably, though she hadn't shared that information with me directly. And more significantly, I was being explicitly disinvited from celebrating this milestone in my sister's life. The casual cruelty of the message was breathtaking. This wasn't a conversation about family dynamics or a discussion about our strained relationship. It was a unilateral declaration that I was no longer considered part of Carmen's inner circle, delivered via text message like a customer service notification. I called Carmen immediately, hoping for clarification or context that would soften the harshness of her message. The phone rang several times before going to voicemail. I left a message asking her to call me back, explaining that I was confused about the text and wanted to understand what was happening. She didn't return my call that day or the next. When I finally reached her later in the week, her tone was coolly professional, as if she were speaking to a difficult client rather than her sister. "Derek and I want to keep the engagement party focused on our professional network and close personal friends," she explained. "Given how things ended between us business-wise, it would be awkward to have you there. I'm sure you understand." I didn't understand. The business-wise ending she referenced was entirely her creation. She had chosen to restructure our partnership without my input, exclude me from the company we had planned together, and then treat my subsequent independent work as a betrayal of our relationship. "Carmen, I'm your sister," I said. "Whatever happened with the business, that doesn't change our family relationship." Her response revealed how completely she had reframed our shared history. "Family relationships require mutual respect and support," she said. You've made it clear that you're more interested in competing with me than supporting my success. I need to surround myself with people who are genuinely happy for my achievements." The conversation ended with Carmen explaining that she hoped we could find a way to move forward professionally in the future, but that she needed space to focus on her engagement and business growth without the complications our relationship had created. That evening, I sat in my apartment trying to understand how our relationship had deteriorated so completely. The sister who had once shared every detail of her life with me had become someone I barely recognized, someone who viewed me as a threat rather than an ally. But as I reflected on the previous year, patterns began to emerge that I had missed while living through them. Carmen's gradual exclusion of me from business decisions, her increasing reliance on Derek's opinions, and her reframing of our partnership as a hierarchical relationship had all been systematic rather than accidental. I realized that I had been managed out of my own business venture, manipulated through a combination of false reassurances and strategic exclusion. Carmen and Derek had systematically appropriated the client relationships, creative processes, and market positioning that I had helped develop, then restructured everything under their exclusive control. The engagement party invitation wasn't just about family dynamics. It was the final step in erasing me from Carmen's professional and personal narrative. By excluding me from this celebration, she was signaling to our shared network that I was no longer a significant part of her life or career trajectory. As I processed the full scope of what had happened, I felt something shift inside me. The hurt and confusion I had been carrying for months crystallized into something sharper and more focused. Determination. Carmen had made a strategic error in her approach to managing me. She had assumed that I would accept exclusion passively, that I would retreat quietly and allow her to control the narrative about our dissolved partnership. She had underestimated both my capabilities and my willingness to fight for what I had built. More importantly, she had forgotten that I understood the operational details of everything we had created together. I knew which clients had been attracted to our partnership specifically, which creative concepts had originated from our collaborative process, and which systems and procedures formed the foundation of Martinez Creative Consulting's service delivery. Carmen had kept the clients and the brand recognition, but she had also inherited all the operational vulnerabilities that I had been managing behind the scenes. Without my attention to detail and systematic approach to project management, those vulnerabilities would become critical weaknesses. I began to see possibilities where I had previously seen only loss. If Carmen wanted to exclude me from her success, I would build something that made her exclusion irrelevant. If she wanted to compete with me rather than collaborate, I would show her what competition actually looked like. That night, I opened a new document on my laptop and began writing. Not a business plan, not a marketing strategy, but a comprehensive analysis of everything I knew about Martinez Creative Consulting's operations, client relationships, and competitive positioning. I documented every process I had developed, every client insight I had gathered, and every operational efficiency I had implemented during our partnership. I analyzed the strengths and weaknesses of their current approach, identified the gaps in their service delivery, and mapped out the market opportunities they were overlooking. Most importantly, I began to understand how I could use my insider knowledge not to sabotage their business, but to build something superior. I could create a consulting practice that addressed the operational shortcomings I had observed, served the client segments they were neglecting, and delivered the collaborative approach that many businesses were seeking. Carmen had taught me an invaluable lesson through her betrayal, that family loyalty without reciprocal respect is weakness, not strength. She had shown me that I could be more strategic, more ambitious, and more ruthless in pursuing my professional goals. If she wanted to play the game of exclusion and competition, I would play it better than she had imagined possible. But I wouldn't just compete with Martinez Creative Consulting. I would make them irrelevant. The text message that was intended to marginalize me had instead clarified my purpose. Carmen had asked me not to embarrass myself by showing up to her engagement party. Instead, I would make sure she was too embarrassed by her own failures to show up anywhere in Phoenix's business community. This was no longer about family reconciliation or professional collaboration. This was about proving that the sister she had underestimated and discarded was about to become the most formidable competitor she had ever faced. The game was beginning, and Carmen had no idea what she had unleashed. The human mind possesses remarkable mechanisms for protecting itself from truths too devastating to process immediately. During the first day after Carmen's text message, I experienced what psychologists term cognitive dissonance in its most acute form. My brain simply refused to reconcile the sister I had known my entire life with the person capable of such calculated cruelty. I found myself checking my phone repeatedly, convinced that Carmen would send a follow-up message explaining that the initial text had been sent in anger or frustration. Perhaps Derek had pressured her into excluding me, and she would eventually recognize the unfairness of punishing me for business decisions I had never consented to. The rational part of my mind understood that no clarifying message would arrive, but hope persisted despite evidence. Sleep became elusive. I would lie awake replaying conversations from the previous months, analyzing Carmen's tone and word choices for clues I might have missed. Had there been warning signs of this level of hostility that I had failed to recognize? Were there moments when I could have responded differently to prevent this complete breakdown of our relationship? The mental exercise proved both exhausting and futile. Each memory I examined revealed new layers of calculation in Carmen's behavior, but I continued resisting the obvious conclusion that her exclusion of me had been systematic rather than spontaneous. During those early hours of processing, I experienced something resembling grief. Not just sadness about losing my relationship with Carmen, but a deeper mourning for the version of my sister that I realized had never actually existed. The collaborative partner who had shared my dreams and ambitions had been a projection of my own hopes, rather than an accurate assessment of Carmen's character and priorities. Denial, I learned, operates through sophisticated psychological mechanisms that allow people to maintain comfortable beliefs despite contradictory evidence. Rather than confronting the full scope of Carmen's betrayal, my mind began constructing alternative explanations that would preserve some version of the relationship I thought we had shared. The first rationalization focused on external pressures. Derek possessed significant influence over Carmen's business decisions, and perhaps her personal choices as well. Maybe he had convinced her that maintaining family relationships would compromise her professional credibility, or create conflicts of interest in their expanding client base. Carmen might be protecting me from complications I didn't fully understand. This explanation offered psychological comfort because it positioned Carmen as misguided rather than malicious. If Derek was manipulating her perspective about family and business boundaries, then the real problem was his influence rather than her character. Once Carmen recognized the damage this approach was causing to our relationship, she might choose family loyalty over professional advancement. The second rationalization centered on timing and stress. Wedding planning creates enormous pressure for couples, especially when they are simultaneously managing business expansion and client development. Carmen might be overwhelmed by competing demands and unable to navigate complex family dynamics while maintaining her professional focus. The engagement party exclusion could represent temporary poor judgment rather than permanent relationship destruction. The third rationalization involved my own behavior and communication patterns. Perhaps I had been more critical of Derek's involvement than I realized. Maybe my questions about business structure and partnership equity had seemed confrontational rather than collaborative. If Carmen perceived my concerns as attacks on her judgment or relationship, she might be responding defensively rather than strategically. Each of these explanations contained enough plausible elements to sustain hope for eventual reconciliation. They allowed me to maintain the belief that Carmen's core character remained intact beneath layers of external pressure and professional ambition. My parents' response to the engagement announcement intensified the psychological confusion I was experiencing. Maria Castellanos called me within hours of receiving Carmen's news, her voice bright with maternal pride and excitement about the upcoming celebration. "Diana, can you believe your sister is finally getting married?" she said. "Derek seems like such an accomplished young man. They make such a beautiful couple together." My mother's enthusiasm felt like salt on an open wound. She spoke as if I were naturally included in the celebration planning, asking about my availability for dress shopping and venue consultations. When I tried to explain that Carmen had explicitly excluded me from the engagement party, my mother's response revealed her complete misunderstanding of the situation. "Oh, Mija, You know how stressed Carmen gets about event planning, she said dismissively. She probably just wants to keep the initial celebration small and intimate. You girls can work out the details later. This response demonstrated how effectively Carmen had managed information flow within our family system. Either she had presented a sanitized version of our business conflict to our parents, or they had chosen to minimize its significance rather than confronting the uncomfortable reality of serious dysfunction between their daughters. My father's reaction proved equally frustrating, though in different ways. Roberto Castellanos approached family conflicts with the same diplomatic neutrality he employed in restaurant management disputes. When he called several days later, his tone carried the careful modulation he used when attempting to mediate between competing interests. Diana, your mother tells me there might be some tension between you and Carmen about this engagement celebration, he said. I want you to know that both of your successes make us proud, and we don't want business disagreements to interfere with family happiness. His framing of the situation as business disagreements revealed how thoroughly Carmen had controlled the narrative about our dissolved partnership. In Roberto's understanding, we were two entrepreneurs who had decided to pursue separate ventures rather than continue collaborating. The systematic appropriation of shared work and the deliberate exclusion from jointly developed opportunities had been recharacterized as natural business evolution. When I attempted to explain the complexity of what had actually occurred, my father's response reflected his desire to maintain family harmony rather than examine uncomfortable truths. Business partnerships are complicated, Micha, he told me. Sometimes people grow in different directions professionally. That doesn't mean the family relationship has to suffer. The family pressure to reconcile with Carmen extended beyond my immediate parents to include extended relatives, family friends, and mutual acquaintances who had learned about the engagement through social media announcements. Each conversation required me to navigate questions about celebration plans, gift ideas, and my role in supporting Carmen's transition to married life. These interactions created additional psychological stress because they forced me to choose between maintaining family privacy and defending my own interests. Explaining Carmen's exclusion of me would require detailed discussion of our business conflicts, which might damage her reputation within our extended social network. Remaining silent, however, meant absorbing responsibility for any perceived lack of sisterly support or enthusiasm. Isabella Morales, our cousin who had always been close to both Carmen and me, called to discuss potential surprise elements for the engagement party. Her assumption that I would be centrally involved in planning revealed how completely our extended family misunderstood the current relationship dynamics. I was thinking we could coordinate a video message from all the cousins who can't attend in person, Isabella suggested enthusiastically. You know Carmen better than anyone, so you could help us write something really meaningful about her journey to finding Derek. The conversation became increasingly surreal, as Isabella described elaborate plans that assumed my full participation and leadership in celebrating Carmen's engagement. When I finally explained that Carmen had explicitly excluded me from the event, Isabella's shock seemed genuine. That can't be right, she said. Carmen would never exclude you from something this important. There must be some misunderstanding about the invitation timing or venue capacity. Isabella's disbelief reflected the cognitive dissonance that many people experience when confronting evidence that contradicts their fundamental assumptions about family relationships. She had observed Carmen and me collaborating closely throughout college and early career development. The idea that this partnership could dissolve into active hostility challenged her understanding of how family bonds operate. The psychological complexity of my situation intensified when I realized that Carmen's engagement celebration would overlap significantly with Phoenix's marketing and consulting professional networks. Many of the people attending her party were individuals I had worked with during our collaborative period, or hoped to develop relationships with as I built my independent practice. Carmen's exclusion of me from this networking opportunity represented more than personal rejection. She was actively limiting my access to professional relationships, while simultaneously strengthening her own position within the industry community. The engagement party would serve as both personal celebration and business development event, with Derek's corporate connections merging with Carmen's creative industry relationships. This realization forced me to confront the strategic calculation behind Carmen's decision. She wasn't simply avoiding family drama or managing wedding logistics. She was consolidating professional advantage while eliminating potential competition from someone who understood her operational methods and client development approaches. The networking dimension of her exclusion strategy became clearer when I learned about the guest list through mutual acquaintances. Carmen had invited several clients we had worked with together, positioning herself as the primary relationship manager, despite my significant contributions to their project outcomes. She was rewriting professional history in real time, using her engagement celebration as an opportunity to cement relationships under her exclusive control. 3 weeks after receiving Carmen's text message, I attended a marketing conference where she was scheduled to present alongside Derek about successful consulting partnerships. I hadn't planned to attend her session, but found myself in the audience after finishing an earlier workshop in the same conference room. Watching Carmen and Derek present their insights about collaborative business development created a moment of psychological crystallization that shattered my remaining denial mechanisms. They spoke with authority about managing creative teams, scaling service delivery, and maintaining client relationships during business transitions. Their presentation included case studies and operational insights that I recognized as direct applications of systems and processes I had helped develop. The audience responded enthusiastically to their expertise, asking detailed questions about partnership structures and client retention strategies. Carmen and Derek answered with confidence and specificity, demonstrating genuine knowledge about topics we had learned together through shared experience and collaborative problem-solving. During the question and answer portion, someone asked about handling conflicts between creative vision and business practicality. Derek's response was particularly illuminating. The key is finding partners who prioritize client success over personal attachment to specific approaches. Sometimes that means making difficult decisions about team composition and operational structure. Carmen nodded approvingly, adding her own perspective about the importance of evolving beyond early partnership dynamics that may limit long-term growth potential. Sitting in that conference room, listening to them present insights derived from our collaborative work without any acknowledgement of my contributions, I experienced complete psychological clarity about the nature of our relationship and the strategic calculation behind my exclusion. The end of self-deception, the conference presentation demolished my remaining rationalizations about Carmen's behavior and motivations. This wasn't about external pressure from Derek, wedding stress, or miscommunication about family dynamics. Carmen had systematically appropriated our shared intellectual property, repackaged it as her exclusive expertise, and eliminated me from the narrative to prevent any competing claims to collaborative credit. Her exclusion from the engagement party wasn't personal rejection disguised as professional boundary setting. It was the final step in erasing me from her success story, ensuring that her professional network would view her achievements as independent accomplishments rather than collaborative outcomes. The family pressure I had been experiencing to reconcile and support Carmen's choices suddenly revealed itself as another dimension of the manipulation. By characterizing our conflict as my failure to accept her professional growth, Carmen had positioned everyone around us to pressure me into abandoning any expectation of acknowledgement or accountability. My parents' advice to be the bigger person and celebrate Carmen's success despite our business disagreements reflected their inability to understand that supporting her narrative meant accepting responsibility for outcomes I hadn't created and betrayals I hadn't deserved. Walking out of that conference presentation, I felt the last vestiges of denial and rationalization dissolve into something harder and more focused. The hurt and confusion that had dominated my emotional landscape for months crystallized into strategic clarity and determined resolve. I realized that I had been treating this situation as a family conflict requiring emotional resolution when it was actually a professional challenge demanding strategic response. Carmen and Derek had made calculated decisions about competitive positioning and market advantage. They had treated our relationship as a business asset to be optimized for their benefit, rather than a personal bond deserving mutual respect and consideration. If they intended to operate according to those principles, I would demonstrate what strategic competition actually looked like when implemented by someone who understood their methods, knew their vulnerabilities, and possessed superior operational insights about the industry they were attempting to dominate. The psychological shift from denial to determination felt like awakening from a confusing dream into sharp-edged reality. I finally understood that Carmen had never intended to maintain any collaborative relationship with me beyond the point where my contributions ceased to be essential for her advancement. Her gradual exclusion had been systematic preparation for complete elimination, with the engagement party disinvitation serving as public announcement of a decision she had been implementing for months. My family's expectation that I should reconcile and support Carmen's choices reflected their fundamental misunderstanding of what had occurred between us. They were asking me to forgive systematic appropriation and celebrate success built on betrayed trust and stolen intellectual property. The denial phase was ending, but something more powerful was beginning. I was finally ready to stop making excuses for people who had strategically destroyed our relationship and start building something that would make their betrayal the most costly mistake of their professional lives. The transformation from emotional processing to strategic investigation required a fundamental shift in how I approached Carmen and Derek's business operations. Instead of viewing Martinez Creative Consulting through the lens of personal betrayal, I began analyzing it as a competitive entity that possessed both strengths and vulnerabilities requiring systematic assessment. My background in business administration and digital marketing had equipped me with analytical frameworks for evaluating company performance, market positioning, and operational efficiency. These skills, which had been overshadowed by emotional turmoil during the previous months, now became essential tools for understanding how Carmen and Derek had structured their appropriated success, and where their approach might contain exploitable weaknesses. The investigation began with publicly available information. Martinez Creative Consulting maintained a professional website that showcased client testimonials, service offerings, and team credentials. Their social media presence emphasized corporate partnerships and industry recognition, positioning the firm as a premium provider of strategic consulting services for mid-market businesses. Carmen's LinkedIn profile had been extensively updated since our partnership dissolved. She now described herself as co-founder and creative director of Martinez Creative Consulting, with no mention of previous collaborative work or shared business development. Her experience section listed specific achievements and client outcomes that I recognized as direct results of projects we had managed together during college and the early months after graduation. Derek's professional profile complemented Carmen's creative credentials with his corporate consulting background. His recommendations emphasized his ability to scale creative businesses and optimize operational efficiency for growth-focused organizations. Several endorsements specifically praised his insights about partnership structure and team management, suggesting that our dissolved collaboration had become a case study for his consulting methodology. Arizona's business registration database provided access to Martinez Creative Consulting's incorporation documents, annual filings, and organizational structure. The company had been established as a limited liability company with Carmen and Derek as equal managing members. Their registered address corresponded to a prestigious business complex in Scottsdale, indicating significant overhead expenses that would require substantial revenue to sustain profitability. The state filings revealed that Martinez Creative Consulting had obtained a business license for comprehensive marketing services, including strategic planning, creative development, digital marketing, and operational consulting. This broad scope suggested they intended to compete across multiple service categories, rather than specializing in specific expertise areas. Their client list, partially visible through case study presentations and testimonial quotes, included several businesses I had researched extensively during our collaborative period. These companies had initially been attracted to our partnership specifically because of the operational systems and analytical approaches I had developed for measuring campaign effectiveness and optimizing client outcomes. The revenue implications of their client portfolio became clearer when I cross-referenced their service offerings with industry pricing standards for comparable consulting firms. Martinez Creative Consulting appeared to be generating substantial monthly recurring revenue from retainer relationships, suggesting they had successfully converted initial project-based engagements into ongoing strategic partnerships. However, the financial analysis also revealed potential vulnerabilities in their business model. The overhead associated with their Scottsdale location, combined with the operational complexity of managing multiple service categories simultaneously, created pressure for sustained revenue growth. Any disruption to key client relationships could significantly impact their profit margins and cash flow stability. Understanding the foundation of Martinez Creative Consulting's success required detailed analysis of their client acquisition strategies and relationship management approaches. Many of their current clients had originally been attracted to our collaborative partnership through referrals, networking events, and demonstration of specific capabilities that I had developed or significantly contributed to creating. Southwestern Marketing Solutions, their flagship corporate client, had initially engaged our services after reviewing a comprehensive market analysis I had prepared for a similar company in their industry vertical. The analytical framework and competitive intelligence methodology that secured that relationship had been entirely my contribution to our collaborative toolkit. Desert Vista Resort Group had become a client following a presentation where Carmen handled creative conceptualization, while I provided detailed ROI projections and implementation timelines. Their decision to engage our services had been specifically influenced by the operational sophistication they observed in my analytical approach and project management capabilities. Phoenix Tech Collective had contracted with us after I developed a digital marketing strategy that demonstrated deep understanding of their technical audience and sophisticated measurement frameworks for evaluating campaign performance. Carmen had provided valuable creative input, but the strategic foundation that impressed their leadership team had originated from my industry research and analytical modeling. The pattern became increasingly clear as I continued mapping their client relationships. Martinez Creative Consulting's current success was built on intellectual property, methodologies, and client relationships that I had developed or co-created during our partnership. Carmen and Derek had successfully transferred these assets to their exclusive control, while eliminating my ability to claim collaborative credit or competitive advantage. Effective strategic competition required understanding not just Martinez Creative Consulting's operations, but their positioning within Phoenix's broader marketing and consulting ecosystem. I conducted systematic research on comparable firms to identify market gaps, service deficiencies, and differentiation opportunities that might provide competitive advantage for an alternative approach. Most established consulting firms in the Phoenix market operated according to traditional models that separated strategic planning from creative execution and implementation. Clients often struggled with coordination challenges when working with multiple vendors for integrated campaigns, creating opportunities for firms that could provide comprehensive service delivery through unified management structures. Martinez Creative Consulting had positioned themselves to address this market need by combining Derek's strategic consulting background with Carmen's creative capabilities. However, their approach suffered from significant operational limitations that they appeared unaware of or unwilling to acknowledge. Their service delivery model relied heavily on Carmen and Derek's direct involvement in client relationships, creating scalability constraints that would become problematic as their client portfolio expanded. They had not developed systematic approaches for knowledge transfer, quality control, or performance measurement that would enable sustainable growth beyond their personal capacity limits. Additionally, their pricing structure appeared designed to maximize short-term revenue rather than build long-term client relationships. Several of their service packages included premium rates that might be difficult to justify if clients began comparing their deliverables with alternative providers offering similar outcomes at more competitive prices. Modern consulting success increasingly depends on technological capabilities for project management, client communication, performance measurement, and service delivery optimization. Martinez Creative Consulting's digital infrastructure revealed both sophisticated elements and critical vulnerabilities that could impact their competitive sustainability. Their client portal system enabled professional project communication and file sharing, demonstrating attention to user experience and operational efficiency. However, the underlying technology appeared to be based on standard software solutions rather than customized systems designed for their specific service delivery requirements. Their performance measurement capabilities seemed limited to basic metrics, rather than the comprehensive analytical frameworks that sophisticated clients increasingly expected from premium consulting providers. This limitation might not immediately impact client satisfaction, but could become a competitive disadvantage as their market matured and clients developed more sophisticated expectations about consulting ROI measurement. Most significantly, their client retention and relationship management systems appeared to lack the depth necessary for identifying early warning signs of client dissatisfaction or competitive threats. This operational blind spot could create vulnerabilities that a well-positioned competitor might exploit through superior client intelligence and proactive relationship management. Phoenix's marketing and consulting community operated through interconnected professional networks, industry associations, and informal relationship systems that influenced client referrals, talent acquisition, and business development opportunities. Understanding these networks was essential for identifying potential competitive advantages and strategic positioning opportunities. Carmen and Derek had successfully integrated themselves into several key professional organizations, including the Phoenix Marketing Professionals Association, the Arizona Consulting Network, and the Greater Phoenix Business Development Council. Their participation in these groups provided access to networking events, speaking opportunities, and referral relationships that supported their client acquisition efforts. However, their network positioning also created potential vulnerabilities. Their rapid rise within these professional communities had been built on appropriated expertise and collaborative achievements that they now claimed as independent accomplishments. If their actual capabilities failed to match their professional reputation, their network standing could deteriorate quickly once performance gaps became apparent. Additionally, their approach to network relationship management appeared focused on immediate business development rather than long-term professional relationship building. Several industry professionals I spoke with informally mentioned that Carmen and Derek seemed primarily interested in extracting value from networking opportunities rather than contributing to community knowledge sharing and collaborative problem solving. Martinez Creative Consulting's success depended heavily on Carmen and Derek's personal involvement in client relationships and service delivery. This operational structure created both competitive advantages and significant vulnerabilities that could impact their long-term sustainability. Their personal attention to client relationships enabled customized service delivery and rapid response to changing client needs. However, this approach also created scalability limitations that would become problematic as their business expanded. They had not developed systematic approaches for delegating responsibility, maintaining quality standards, or preserving client relationships during periods when their personal availability might be limited. Their hiring strategy appeared focused on finding employees who could execute their directives rather than contributing independent expertise or strategic insights. This approach might maintain operational control, but could limit their ability to innovate or adapt to changing market conditions that required diverse perspectives and specialized knowledge. Most critically, their operational model assumed that their current capabilities would remain sufficient for ongoing client satisfaction and competitive advantage. They had not demonstrated awareness of the continuous learning and skill development required to maintain market leadership in rapidly evolving consulting disciplines. After 3 weeks of systematic investigation, I had developed a comprehensive understanding of Martinez Creative Consulting's operations, competitive positioning, and structural vulnerabilities. The analysis revealed that their success was substantial, but built on foundations that contained exploitable weaknesses. Their client relationships were strong, but dependent on personal rapport rather than systematic value creation. Their service delivery was effective, but not optimized for scalability or sustainable competitive advantage. Their market positioning was impressive, but potentially vulnerable to competitors who could demonstrate superior capabilities or offer more compelling value propositions. Most importantly, their business model was based on intellectual property and methodologies that I had developed or significantly contributed to creating. While they had successfully appropriated these assets, they had not demonstrated ability to innovate beyond the foundational work we had completed together. This intelligence framework provided the foundation for developing strategic competition that would leverage their vulnerabilities while building sustainable competitive advantages based on superior capabilities and operational excellence. The investigation phase was complete, and the real work of strategic response was ready to begin. The systematic investigation had accomplished its primary objective of transforming emotional reactivity into strategic clarity. Instead of feeling victimized by Carmen and Derek's betrayal, I now understood their operations well enough to compete effectively and demonstrate superior capabilities to their client base and professional network. The evidence I had gathered revealed that Martinez Creative Consulting's success was significant, but not invulnerable. Their approach contained systematic weaknesses that could be exploited through superior service delivery, innovative methodologies, and more effective client relationship management. Most importantly, The investigation had confirmed that my contributions to our original partnership had been more substantial than I had previously realized. The operational systems, analytical frameworks, and client development strategies that formed the foundation of their current success represented intellectual property that I could leverage independently to create competitive advantage. The information gathering phase had prepared me for strategic action. The time had come to transform intelligence into competitive superiority and demonstrate what Carmen had lost when she chose betrayal over collaboration. Armed with comprehensive intelligence about Martinez Creative Consulting's operations and market positioning, I began developing a strategic response that would demonstrate superior capabilities while establishing sustainable competitive advantages. The approach required careful consideration of timing, resource allocation, and market dynamics to ensure maximum impact with available resources. The initial strategic framework centered on leveraging my operational expertise and analytical capabilities to create service offerings that addressed market gaps Martinez Creative Consulting had failed to recognize or adequately serve. Rather than attempting to compete directly for their existing clients, I would focus on building relationships with prospects who required more sophisticated analytical frameworks and operational excellence than Carmen and Derek were equipped to provide. This approach demanded significant personal investment in capability development and market positioning before generating meaningful revenue. However, the long-term competitive advantages would justify the initial resource commitment by creating sustainable differentiation that would be difficult for competitors to replicate quickly or effectively. The strategic planning process revealed that successful competition required more than superior technical capabilities. Market success demanded professional credibility, network relationships, and brand recognition that would take considerable time and effort to establish independently. The challenge was developing these assets while maintaining financial stability through interim revenue generation. The first priority involved expanding my technical expertise beyond the foundational skills that had contributed to our original partnership success. Modern consulting required continuous learning about emerging technologies, analytical methodologies, and industry best practices that sophisticated clients increasingly expected from premium service providers. I enrolled in advanced certification programs for marketing automation platforms, data analytics tools, and customer relationship management systems that would enable more sophisticated service delivery than Martinez Creative Consulting currently offered. These technical capabilities would provide tangible differentiation when competing for clients who valued measurable outcomes and operational efficiency. Simultaneously, I began developing proprietary methodologies for client assessment, campaign optimization, and performance measurement that would represent unique intellectual property unavailable through standard consulting approaches. These frameworks would enable premium pricing while providing clients with demonstrable value that justified higher investment levels. The capability development process also included expanding my understanding of specific industry verticals that appeared underserved by existing consulting providers in the Phoenix market. Healthcare technology, sustainable energy, and professional services firms represented market segments with sophisticated needs that required specialized knowledge and analytical approaches. Effective competition required establishing clear differentiation from Martinez Creative Consulting, while appealing to prospects who valued analytical sophistication and operational excellence over creative presentation and relationship management. This positioning demanded careful balance between highlighting superior capabilities and avoiding direct confrontation that might provoke counterproductive competitive responses. The market positioning strategy emphasized measurable outcomes, systematic methodologies, and long-term partnership development, rather than short-term campaign execution or creative conceptualization. This approach would attract clients who prioritized ROI optimization and sustainable growth over immediate marketing impact or brand enhancement. Professional credibility required visible demonstration of expertise through industry publications, conference presentations, and thought leadership content that showcased analytical insights and operational innovations. These activities would establish reputation within the consulting community while generating referral opportunities and client interest. The positioning strategy also included developing strategic partnerships with complementary service providers who could enhance my capability offerings while expanding market reach through mutual referral relationships. These alliances would accelerate client acquisition while providing access to expertise areas that would be expensive to develop independently. Initial client acquisition required balancing the need for immediate revenue generation with long-term strategic positioning objectives. The approach focused on identifying prospects who valued analytical sophistication and operational excellence while possessing sufficient budget allocation to support premium consulting investment. The target client profile included growing businesses that had experienced limitations with their current marketing approaches and required more sophisticated analytical frameworks for optimizing customer acquisition and retention strategies. These organizations typically possessed internal marketing capabilities but lacked the analytical expertise necessary for advanced performance optimization. Client acquisition methodology emphasized consultative selling approaches that demonstrated analytical capabilities through complementary assessments and strategic recommendations. This approach required significant upfront investment in prospect research and customized analysis, but created stronger client relationships and higher project values than transactional service offerings. The methodology also included systematic follow-up processes for maintaining relationships with prospects who were not immediately ready to engage consulting services, but might represent future opportunities as their businesses grew or their analytical sophistication requirements evolved. The first significant client opportunity emerged through a referral from a former college professor who maintained relationships within Phoenix's technology sector. TechFlow Innovations, a software development company specializing in healthcare applications, required strategic marketing consultation to support their expansion into new geographic markets. Their initial requirements appeared straightforward: market research, competitive analysis, and campaign development for launching their electronic health record platform in California and Texas markets. However, preliminary conversations revealed more complex analytical needs that aligned perfectly with my capability development initiatives. TechFlow's leadership team had struggled with previous consulting relationships because their technical product required sophisticated understanding of healthcare industry regulations, data security requirements, and user adoption patterns that traditional marketing firms could not adequately address. Their frustration with superficial creative approaches created opportunity for analytical methodologies that could demonstrate measurable impact on their business objectives. The engagement proposal emphasized comprehensive market analysis, competitive intelligence, and performance measurement frameworks that would provide TechFlow with strategic insights and operational tools for sustainable growth across multiple market segments. The approach required significant upfront research investment, but promised deliverables that would provide long-term value beyond the immediate project scope. TechFlow project execution became the foundation for establishing operational excellence reputation within Phoenix's business community. Every aspect of service delivery was designed to exceed client expectations while demonstrating capabilities that would differentiate future competitive positioning. The market research component included primary research interviews with healthcare technology decision-makers, regulatory compliance analysis, and competitive intelligence gathering that provided TechFlow with insights unavailable through standard market research approaches. The depth and sophistication of this analysis exceeded anything they had received from previous consulting relationships. Competitive analysis incorporated advanced analytical techniques for evaluating competitor positioning, pricing strategies, and customer acquisition approaches. The methodology revealed market opportunities and strategic vulnerabilities that TechFlow could exploit through superior product positioning and targeted marketing campaigns. Performance measurement frameworks included comprehensive analytics dashboards, conversion tracking systems, and ROI optimization tools that enabled TechFlow to monitor campaign effectiveness in real time while making data-driven adjustments to improve outcomes continuously. These capabilities provided tangible value that justified premium consulting investment. Successful consulting required systematic approaches for managing multiple client relationships while maintaining consistent service quality and operational efficiency. The systems development process focused on scalability and quality control mechanisms that would support business growth without compromising service excellence. Project management systems incorporated advanced scheduling, resource allocation, and progress tracking capabilities that enabled efficient coordination of multiple concurrent engagements while providing clients with transparent visibility into project status and deliverable timelines. Client communication protocols included regular reporting, strategic consultation sessions, and performance review meetings that maintained strong relationships while ensuring alignment between client objectives and project outcomes. These systems created client satisfaction and retention rates that exceeded industry standards. Quality control mechanisms included systematic review processes, peer consultation, and continuous improvement methodologies that ensured consistent service excellence while identifying opportunities for operational optimization and capability enhancement. Sustainable competitive advantage required systematic relationship building within Phoenix's business community and consulting industry networks. The networking strategy emphasized providing value to professional connections rather than simply pursuing immediate business development opportunities. Industry association participation included active involvement in the Arizona Technology Council, the Phoenix Business Journal Leadership Forum, and the Southwest Marketing Professionals Network. These organizations provided access to potential clients while enabling contribution to industry knowledge sharing and professional development initiatives. Speaking opportunities at industry conferences and professional development events established thought leadership credentials while demonstrating analytical expertise to audiences that included potential clients and referral sources. These presentations focused on sharing insights and methodologies rather than promoting specific services. Strategic alliance development included partnerships with complementary service providers, such as management consultants, technology implementation specialists, and financial advisory firms that could provide mutual referral opportunities while expanding service capabilities for complex client requirements. Martinez Creative Consulting's initial response to my independent consulting practice suggested they viewed my activities as minimal competitive threat rather than serious market challenge. Carmen and Derek appeared confident that their established client relationships and professional network positioning provided sufficient competitive advantages to neutralize any impact from my alternative approach. However, subtle changes in their market behavior indicated growing awareness of potential competition. Their social media content began emphasizing their analytical capabilities and performance measurement expertise, suggesting recognition that these areas represented important differentiators in the evolving consulting market. Professional network interactions revealed increased attention to relationship maintenance and client retention initiatives that had not been prominent in their previous approach. Several mutual connections mentioned receiving unexpected follow-up communications from Carmen and Derek about potential collaboration opportunities or referral relationships. Their response strategy appeared focused on strengthening existing positions rather than adapting their service offerings or operational approaches to address market evolution. This defensive posture suggested confidence in their current capabilities but also indicated potential vulnerability to competitors who could demonstrate superior analytical sophistication or operational excellence. Client feedback from early engagements provided validation that the strategic positioning and capability development initiatives were addressing genuine market needs that existing consulting providers were not adequately serving. TechFlow's leadership team specifically praised the analytical depth and operational sophistication that distinguished my approach from previous consulting relationships. Industry feedback from networking activities and professional associations indicated growing recognition of expertise in analytical methodologies and performance optimization that created opportunities for speaking engagements, collaborative projects, and client referrals from other service providers. Competitive intelligence gathered through market interactions suggested that several established consulting firms were beginning to recognize analytical sophistication as an important differentiator, but had not yet developed the internal capabilities necessary to compete effectively in this market segment. The market feedback confirmed that the strategic approach was creating sustainable competitive advantages, while building foundation for long-term growth and market leadership in analytical consulting services. The first quarter of independent operations generated revenue levels that exceeded initial projections while establishing client relationships that provided foundation for sustainable growth. TechFlow engagement success led to contract extensions and referral opportunities that accelerated business development beyond original timeline expectations. Financial performance enabled reinvestment in capability development, technology systems, and marketing initiatives that would support continued growth while maintaining competitive differentiation. The revenue stability also provided foundation for strategic planning and resource allocation decisions that would drive long-term market positioning. Cost structure optimization through systematic operational efficiency improvements and technology leveraging enabled competitive pricing, while maintaining profit margins that supported continued business investment in capability enhancement initiatives. The successful execution of initial strategic positioning and client acquisition activities provided foundation for more aggressive competitive initiatives that would challenge Martinez Creative Consulting's market dominance while establishing superior alternative approaches for sophisticated consulting requirements. The operational excellence, client satisfaction, and market recognition achieved during this initial phase created credibility and resources necessary for escalating competitive pressure while maintaining ethical business practices and professional integrity throughout the process. The systematic approach to capability development, market positioning, and relationship building had transformed my independent consulting practice from reactive response to Carmen's betrayal into proactive market leadership that would define the next phase of strategic competition. Success in business creates momentum that extends far beyond individual client relationships or project outcomes. Within 3 months of launching my independent consulting practice, the strategic positioning and operational excellence initiatives began generating ripple effects throughout Phoenix's marketing and consulting community that neither I nor Martinez Creative Consulting had fully anticipated. TechFlow Innovations became an enthusiastic advocate for my analytical methodologies and performance measurement capabilities. Their leadership team shared their consulting experience with other technology companies, professional associations, and industry networks, creating referral opportunities that exceeded my capacity to pursue immediately. The healthcare technology sector, previously underserved by local consulting firms, began recognizing that sophisticated analytical expertise was available within their geographic market. Arizona Technology Council members started requesting information about my consulting methodologies during networking events and professional development sessions. Several established technology companies expressed interest in analytical approaches that could optimize their customer acquisition strategies and improve their market penetration effectiveness. The demand for specialized expertise in technology marketing created opportunities for premium pricing and selective client engagement. The Professional Services Marketing Alliance, a regional organization serving law firms, accounting practices, and consulting companies, invited me to present about performance measurement frameworks at their quarterly conference. This speaking opportunity provided visibility within a market segment that Martinez Creative Consulting had attempted to penetrate without significant success, largely due to their inability to demonstrate quantifiable outcomes for professional services marketing investments. Martinez Creative Consulting's initial dismissive attitude toward my independent practice evolved into more active competitive awareness as market feedback indicated growing recognition of analytical sophistication as a valuable differentiator. Carmen and Derek began modifying their service offerings and marketing messages to emphasize performance measurement capabilities and operational excellence, though their actual delivery capabilities remained limited by their foundational expertise gaps. Industry observers noted the coincidental timing of Martinez Creative Consulting's enhanced focus on analytical services with the emergence of my specialized consulting practice. Several mutual connections within the professional community made pointed comments about the competitive dynamics developing between former business partners, though most maintained diplomatic neutrality rather than taking explicit positions about the underlying conflicts. Derek's LinkedIn activity increased significantly during this period, with frequent posts about consulting industry trends, partnership best practices, and operational efficiency methodologies. His content appeared designed to establish thought leadership credentials in areas where my consulting practice was gaining recognition, though the theoretical nature of his insights contrasted sharply with the practical case studies and measurable outcomes I was sharing through my professional communications. Carmen's social media presence shifted toward emphasizing her analytical education and quantitative marketing experience, despite her historical focus on creative conceptualization and client relationship management. This repositioning effort suggested recognition that market demand was evolving toward more sophisticated consulting capabilities than their current service delivery model could adequately support. The combination of TechFlow's enthusiastic referrals, conference presentation opportunities, and enhanced industry recognition created client acquisition momentum that required systematic capacity expansion and operational scaling. The challenge became managing growth while maintaining the service quality standards that had established my competitive reputation within the market. Meridian Financial Advisors, a wealth management firm serving high-net-worth individuals, engaged my consulting services to optimize their client acquisition processes and improve their conversion rates for prospective relationship development. Their requirements included sophisticated customer relationship management implementation, advanced analytics dashboard development, and systematic referral program optimization that demanded integration of multiple technical platforms and operational processes. The engagement complexity exceeded my previous project scope, while providing opportunities to demonstrate advanced capabilities in financial services marketing, regulatory compliance considerations, and high-value client relationship development. Successful execution would establish credentials within Phoenix's financial services community while creating case study materials for attracting similar client opportunities. Desert Innovation Labs, a research and development incubator supporting emerging technology companies, contracted for comprehensive market analysis and go-to-market strategy development for their portfolio companies. The project required understanding multiple industry verticals simultaneously, while developing analytical frameworks that could be applied across diverse business models and competitive landscapes. Phoenix Executive Networks, an organization serving senior-level professionals across multiple industries, requested strategic consultation about membership growth, event programming optimization, and sponsor relationship development. Their needs included sophisticated data analysis, member segmentation strategies, and value proposition refinement that aligned perfectly with my analytical capabilities and operational expertise. Rapid client acquisition growth created operational challenges that required systematic solutions for maintaining service quality while expanding capacity to meet increasing market demand. The scaling process demanded careful balance between growth ambition and execution excellence to avoid compromising the competitive advantages that had enabled initial success. Project management complexity increased exponentially when managing multiple concurrent engagements with sophisticated analytical requirements and demanding timelines. Each client relationship required customized approaches that leveraged their industry-specific knowledge while applying proven methodologies for performance optimization and strategic positioning. Technology infrastructure requirements expanded beyond individual productivity tools to include advanced analytics platforms, customer relationship management systems, and collaborative project management capabilities that could support multiple client engagements simultaneously while maintaining security and confidentiality standards appropriate for sensitive business information. Quality control mechanisms required systematic documentation of methodologies, standardization of deliverable formats, and development of review processes that could ensure consistent excellence across diverse client requirements and project scopes. The operational sophistication necessary for sustainable growth demanded significant investment in systems development and process optimization. Addressing capacity constraints through strategic partnership development became essential for maintaining growth momentum while preserving service quality standards. The alliance strategy focused on identifying complementary service providers who could enhance my capability offerings while sharing commitment to operational excellence and client success optimization. Data Vision Analytics, a specialized firm providing advanced data science services, established a partnership arrangement for projects requiring predictive modeling, customer segmentation analysis, and complex statistical evaluation. Their technical capabilities complemented my strategic consulting expertise while enabling delivery of sophisticated analytical solutions that individual practitioners could not provide independently. Phoenix Technology Solutions, a systems integration firm specializing in marketing automation and customer relationship management platforms, developed a collaborative relationship for clients requiring comprehensive technology implementation, alongside strategic consultation. Their technical expertise accelerated project implementation timelines while ensuring optimal platform configuration for long-term client success. Executive Search Professionals, a talent acquisition firm serving technology and professional services companies, created a mutual referral arrangement that provided access to senior-level marketing talent while offering their clients strategic consultation about marketing organization development and performance optimization. The accelerating success of my independent consulting practice began generating more aggressive competitive responses from Martinez Creative Consulting, as they recognized the potential impact on their market positioning and client retention strategies. Their approach evolved from passive dismissal to active competitive positioning designed to minimize my market influence while protecting their established client relationships. Carmen and Derek initiated systematic outreach to their existing clients, emphasizing their expanded service capabilities and recommending contract extensions or expanded project scopes to strengthen relationship commitment and reduce potential client vulnerability to competitive alternatives. Their client retention strategy appeared designed to create switching costs that would discourage exploration of alternative consulting providers. Their pricing strategy became more aggressive, with proposals for new client opportunities including premium service packages at rates below their historical pricing levels. This approach suggested recognition that competitive pressure required value proposition enhancement beyond their current capability development timeline. Professional network relationship management increased significantly, with both Carmen and Derek participating more actively in industry associations, networking events, and collaborative initiatives designed to strengthen their position within the consulting community. Their visibility campaign appeared intended to reinforce their established market presence while minimizing attention to emerging competitive alternatives. The competitive escalation created several unintended consequences that neither Martinez Creative Consulting nor I had anticipated when the market dynamics began evolving. These developments added complexity to the competitive landscape while creating new opportunities and challenges for both organizations. Industry attention to the competitive dynamics between former business partners generated speculation about the underlying causes of our dissolved partnership. Professional community members began asking pointed questions about business ethics, partnership dissolution procedures, and appropriate competitive behavior between previous collaborators. Client awareness of competitive alternatives increased beyond my direct marketing efforts, as Martinez Creative Consulting's defensive positioning inadvertently highlighted the existence of specialized analytical consulting services within the local market. Their emphasis on enhanced capabilities drew attention to capability gaps in their previous service delivery approach. Several potential clients began requesting competitive proposals from both firms simultaneously, creating direct comparison opportunities that highlighted the differences in analytical sophistication, operational excellence, and strategic depth between our respective approaches. These competitive evaluations often favored my systematic methodologies and performance measurement capabilities. Professional association leadership expressed concern about competitive dynamics that might negatively impact the consulting industry's reputation within the broader business community. Their intervention attempts included suggestions for collaborative rather than competitive positioning and recommendations for professional mediation to resolve underlying conflicts. The extended competitive positioning battle began influencing market perceptions about consulting industry standards and client expectations for analytical sophistication and performance measurement capabilities. These perception shifts created both opportunities and challenges that extended beyond the immediate competitive relationship between our firms. Prospective clients began requesting more detailed information about analytical methodologies, performance measurement frameworks, and operational excellence standards than had been typical for consulting engagements in the Phoenix market. This elevated expectation level favored firms with genuine analytical capabilities, while creating challenges for providers whose expertise remained primarily focused on creative conceptualization and relationship management. Industry recognition of analytical consulting as a distinct specialization within the broader marketing services marketplace created opportunities for premium positioning and specialized expertise development. Technology companies, financial services firms, and professional service organizations began specifically seeking providers with advanced analytical capabilities rather than general marketing consulting services. Professional development organizations began offering educational programs focused on analytical methodologies and performance measurement techniques, acknowledging market demand for enhanced consulting capabilities. These programs attracted participants from established consulting firms who recognized the need for capability enhancement to remain competitive in the evolving market environment. The professional success and competitive momentum generated through systematic capability development and operational excellence created personal satisfaction that contrasted sharply with the emotional devastation I had experienced following Carmen's initial betrayal. The transformation from victim of manipulation to successful market competitor demonstrated the power of channeling negative experiences into positive professional outcomes. However, the competitive intensity and operational demands of rapid business growth also created stress levels that required careful management to maintain personal well-being and professional effectiveness. The commitment necessary for sustained competitive advantage demanded significant personal sacrifice, while providing substantial professional and financial rewards. Family relationships remained strained as the competitive success of my independent practice became more visible within Phoenix's business community. My parents struggled to understand how professional competition between their daughters had escalated beyond simple business disagreements into industry-wide competitive dynamics, with lasting implications for family harmony. The personal cost of maintaining competitive intensity while preserving ethical business practices required constant evaluation of strategic decisions and tactical implementations to ensure that success remained built on superior capabilities rather than destructive competitive behavior. The success achieved during this escalation phase provided foundation for more aggressive competitive initiatives designed to establish sustainable market leadership, while demonstrating the long-term consequences of Carmen's strategic miscalculation in choosing betrayal over collaboration. The operational excellence, client satisfaction levels, and market recognition achieved through systematic capability development created credibility and resources necessary for expanding competitive pressure while maintaining professional integrity throughout the continued escalation process. The competitive dynamics established during this period had transformed my independent consulting practice from reactive response to proactive market leadership, setting the stage for strategic initiatives that would permanently alter the competitive landscape within Phoenix's consulting industry. The moment that transformed competitive positioning into irreversible strategic warfare arrived through an unexpected channel that demonstrated the full scope of Carmen and Derek's willingness to undermine my professional reputation and business development efforts. The incident occurred during what should have been a routine industry networking event, but instead became the defining moment when reconciliation ceased to be a viable option and total competitive dominance became the only acceptable outcome. The Arizona Business Excellence Award ceremony represented the pinnacle of professional recognition within Phoenix's consulting and marketing community. Industry leaders, successful entrepreneurs, and established firms gathered annually to celebrate outstanding achievements and recognize innovative business practices. I had been invited to attend as a guest of Meridian Financial Advisors, whose leadership team wanted to introduce me to their professional network as the consulting partner who had transformed their client acquisition effectiveness. The evening proceeded smoothly during the cocktail reception and early presentation segments. Several attendees approached me with interest in my analytical methodologies and performance measurement frameworks, creating valuable networking opportunities that might develop into future client relationships. The professional recognition felt validating after months of systematic capability development and operational excellence initiatives. However, the atmosphere shifted dramatically when Carmen and Derek arrived with their own contingent of clients and professional associates. Their presence created an undercurrent of tension that became increasingly apparent as the evening progressed, particularly when other attendees began recognizing the competitive dynamics between former business partners attending the same industry event. The confrontation began subtly during the networking portion of the awards ceremony, when Carmen approached a group of technology executives who had been discussing potential consulting requirements with me. Her intervention appeared casual and conversational, but her comments were designed to undermine my credibility while positioning Martinez Creative Consulting as the superior alternative for sophisticated business requirements. Diana has always been excellent with operational details, Carmen told the group with apparent warmth that masked calculated malice. We worked together during college, and her attention to process management was really valuable for handling the administrative aspects of client relationships. Of course, strategic consulting requires different capabilities, but I'm sure she's finding her appropriate market level. The comment appeared complimentary on its surface, while systematically diminishing my professional standing through implicit suggestions that my expertise remained limited to administrative support rather than strategic consultation. The technology executives who had been expressing serious interest in my analytical capabilities suddenly seemed less engaged and began redirecting their attention toward other networking opportunities. Derek's contribution to the undermining campaign proved even more damaging to my professional reputation within the assembled business community. When introduced to the executive director of the Professional Services Marketing Alliance, he made pointed references to, quote, unfortunate situations where former partners struggle to maintain professional boundaries after business relationships end. His implication that I was behaving unprofessionally by competing with Martinez Creative Consulting created doubt about my business ethics and professional conduct among industry leaders who had been considering potential collaboration opportunities. The suggestion that my competitive activities represented boundary violations rather than legitimate market competition was particularly damaging given the conservative nature of Phoenix's professional services community. The coordinated nature of Carmen and Derek's campaign to damage my professional reputation became increasingly apparent as the evening progressed. They had clearly prepared talking points and strategic messaging designed to undermine my credibility while appearing to take the high road in discussing our dissolved partnership. Carmen's conversations with potential clients emphasized my learning curve in adapting to corporate consulting requirements while praising my enthusiasm for developing analytical capabilities. Her language consistently positioned me as an aspiring practitioner rather than an established expert, despite my demonstrated success with sophisticated client engagements and measurable performance outcomes. Derek's approach focused on questioning my capacity for managing multiple client relationships while maintaining service quality standards appropriate for established businesses. His comments to industry leaders suggested concern about my ability to scale operations effectively, creating doubt about the reliability of engaging my consulting services for important strategic initiatives. Their campaign extended beyond direct commentary to include strategic positioning during group conversations, where they would reference successful client outcomes and industry recognition while making subtle comparisons that highlighted Martinez Creative Consulting's established market presence versus my emerging practice. The evening's most devastating moment occurred when I overheard Carmen speaking with Sarah Mitchell, the executive director of the Arizona Technology Council, about my consulting methodology and client results. The conversation took place in a relatively private corner of the venue, where Carmen apparently felt comfortable sharing more explicit opinions about my professional capabilities and business practices. The analytical frameworks Diana talks about are actually methodologies that we developed together during our partnership, Carmen told Sarah with complete confidence. She's essentially recycling our intellectual property and presenting it as her own innovation. It's unfortunate when business relationships end badly, and people feel entitled to claim credit for collaborative work. This statement represented a complete inversion of reality that reframed my legitimate use of methodologies I had created as intellectual property theft from Martinez Creative Consulting. Carmen was systematically appropriating credit for my contributions to our original partnership, while simultaneously accusing me of appropriating her work. Derek's addition to this conversation proved even more damaging to my professional reputation and personal integrity. "We've been trying to handle this situation diplomatically," he said with apparent regret, "but Diana seems determined to compete using approaches that raise questions about professional ethics and appropriate business conduct. The implication that my consulting practice was built on unethical appropriation of Martinez Creative Consulting's intellectual property represented defamation that could permanently damage my professional credibility within Phoenix's business community. They were positioning themselves as victims of my misconduct, rather than acknowledging their systematic betrayal and appropriation of collaborative work." Standing in that awards ceremony venue, listening to Carmen and Derek systematically destroy my professional reputation through calculated lies and strategic character assassination, I experienced a moment of absolute clarity about the nature of our conflict and the appropriate response to their escalating campaign of professional sabotage. This was not business competition between former partners who had chosen different strategic directions. This was a deliberate campaign to eliminate me as a competitive threat through reputation destruction and market manipulation. Carmen and Derek had moved beyond protecting their established position to actively attempting to destroy my ability to succeed independently. Their willingness to engage in public defamation and systematic character assassination demonstrated that they viewed our dissolved partnership as a zero-sum competition where my success necessarily threatened their market dominance. They had chosen to respond to competitive pressure through unethical tactics rather than capability enhancement or service improvement. The realization that reconciliation was not only impossible but inappropriate transformed my strategic perspective from competitive positioning to total market dominance. Carmen and Derek had declared war on my professional existence, and their tactics required a response that would permanently neutralize their ability to continue damaging my reputation or undermining my business development efforts. The character assassination campaign at the awards ceremony provided definitive evidence that Martinez Creative Consulting's competitive response would continue escalating beyond ethical business competition into personal and professional destruction. This recognition required a strategic response framework that would protect my reputation while demonstrating the consequences of their tactical miscalculation. The first priority involved documenting their defamatory statements and gathering evidence of their systematic campaign to damage my professional credibility. Several networking contacts who had witnessed their comments expressed concern about the appropriateness of their approach, providing potential witnesses who could verify the nature of their public statements if legal action became necessary. The second priority required developing countermeasures that would neutralize their reputation attack while demonstrating superior professional capabilities and ethical business conduct. This approach would position their character assassination attempts as evidence of desperation rather than legitimate competitive positioning. The third priority involved accelerating my market positioning initiatives to establish such overwhelming competitive advantage that their undermining efforts would become obviously counterproductive and professionally damaging to their own reputation within the business community. The awards ceremony experience eliminated any remaining consideration of competitive coexistence or market segmentation strategies that might allow both firms to succeed in different market niches. Carmen and Derek had chosen to make my professional destruction their strategic objective, which required a response that would demonstrate the complete failure of their approach while establishing my market dominance across all relevant service categories. This commitment required abandoning defensive positioning in favor of offensive strategies designed to systematically dismantle Martinez Creative Consulting's competitive advantages, while exposing their operational vulnerabilities and ethical deficiencies to the broader business community. The strategic framework would leverage my analytical capabilities and operational excellence to create such superior client outcomes that any comparison between our respective firms would highlight their limitations and demonstrate my market leadership across all dimensions of consulting effectiveness. Implementing total competitive victory required systematic preparation that would enable sustained strategic pressure while maintaining the operational excellence that had established my initial market credibility. The preparation process focused on capacity expansion, capability enhancement, and strategic alliance development that would support accelerated competitive initiatives. Technology infrastructure investments included advanced analytics platforms, comprehensive customer relationship management systems, and project management capabilities that would enable simultaneous management of multiple complex client engagements while maintaining service quality standards that exceeded industry norms. Capability development initiatives expanded beyond individual expertise enhancement to include systematic methodology development and intellectual property creation that would represent unique competitive advantages unavailable through alternative consulting providers. Strategic partnership arrangements with complementary service providers created comprehensive solution capabilities that would enable competitive positioning across broader market segments while providing operational support for accelerated business growth. Protecting existing client relationships from Martinez Creative Consulting's undermining efforts required proactive communication strategies and enhanced value delivery that would strengthen client loyalty while demonstrating superior consulting capabilities through measurable performance improvements. TechFlow Innovations received comprehensive briefings about competitive dynamics affecting the consulting market, along with enhanced service packages that demonstrated my commitment to their long-term success, regardless of competitive pressures from alternative providers. Meridian Financial Advisors and Phoenix Executive Networks were provided with detailed analysis of consulting industry best practices and performance measurement frameworks that highlighted the superiority of my analytical approaches compared to standard consulting methodologies. Desert Innovation Labs received expanded strategic consultation that included competitive intelligence about alternative consulting providers and recommendations for evaluating service quality standards when engaging professional services support for their portfolio companies. The commitment to total competitive victory required amplifying market positioning initiatives beyond defensive responses to Martinez Creative Consulting's reputation attack toward proactive demonstration of superior capabilities and ethical business conduct that would establish permanent competitive advantage. Industry association leadership positions became strategic priorities for establishing professional credibility and thought leadership recognition within Phoenix's business community. These positions would provide platforms for demonstrating expertise while contributing to industry standards development and professional ethics enforcement. Conference presentation opportunities expanded beyond local market visibility to include regional and national speaking engagements that would establish recognition for analytical innovation and consulting methodology excellence across broader geographic markets. Professional publication initiatives included developing thought leadership content for industry journals and business publications that would demonstrate intellectual contribution to consulting methodology development while establishing permanent documentation of innovation and expertise. Walking out of that awards ceremony, I understood that Carmen and Derek had forced a strategic decision that eliminated moderate competitive positioning in favor of total market domination or complete business failure. Their character assassination campaign had created a situation where anything less than overwhelming victory would represent validation of their defamatory accusations and professional destruction of my consulting practice. The decision to pursue total competitive victory rather than defensive market positioning represented an irreversible commitment that would define the remainder of our competitive relationship. There could be no retreat from this strategic objective without confirming their success in eliminating me as a market threat through reputation destruction and systematic undermining. The point of no return had been reached not through my strategic choices, but through their tactical escalation beyond ethical business competition into personal and professional warfare. Their campaign required a response that would demonstrate the catastrophic miscalculation inherent in choosing character assassination over capability development as a competitive strategy. The real war was about to begin, and Carmen had no comprehension of the forces she had unleashed through her fundamental underestimation of my capabilities, determination, and commitment to professional excellence over family loyalty. When the two became mutually exclusive, the commitment to total competitive victory required systematic development of alliances and resources that would provide sustainable advantages across multiple dimensions of business competition. The character assassination campaign at the awards ceremony had demonstrated that Carmen and Derek would continue escalating their efforts to eliminate me as a competitive threat, making defensive positioning insufficient for long-term survival within Phoenix's consulting market. Building effective alliances required careful evaluation of potential partners who possessed complementary capabilities, shared ethical standards, and strategic objectives that aligned with comprehensive market dominance rather than limited collaboration. The alliance development process needed to create mutually beneficial relationships that would strengthen my competitive position, while providing genuine value to partner organizations and their client bases. The Resource Development Initiative extended beyond individual capability enhancement to include systematic creation of competitive advantages that would be difficult for Martina's creative consulting to replicate or neutralize. These resources would provide foundation for sustained market leadership while demonstrating the strategic sophistication that distinguished my approach from their opportunistic tactics. The awards ceremony experience had revealed both vulnerabilities and opportunities within Phoenix's professional network structure that would influence alliance development strategies. Several industry leaders had expressed concern about Carmen and Derek's approach to competitive positioning, suggesting potential openings for building relationships with established professionals who valued ethical business conduct over aggressive tactics. Michael Rodriguez, the managing director of Southwest Strategic Partners, had approached me after witnessing Carmen's dismissive comments about my operational expertise. His consulting firm specialized in organizational development and strategic planning for mid-market companies, creating potential synergies with my analytical consulting capabilities without direct competitive overlap. Rodriguez expressed interest in developing referral relationships that would provide his clients with access to advanced marketing analytics, while offering my practice entry into strategic planning engagements that require broader organizational expertise. His established reputation within Phoenix's business community would provide credibility enhancement while expanding my service capabilities through partnership rather than internal development. Jennifer Chen, the executive director of the Arizona Women in Business Association, had observed Derek's comments about professional boundaries and expressed skepticism about his characterization of our competitive relationship. Her organization included several successful consulting professionals who might provide both moral support and strategic insights about managing competitive challenges while maintaining professional integrity. Chen's network included established women entrepreneurs who had successfully navigated similar competitive situations and could provide guidance about effective strategies for countering reputation attacks while building sustainable business advantages. Her association's influence within Phoenix's professional community could provide platforms for demonstrating expertise while contributing to industry knowledge development. The alliance development strategy focused on creating partnerships that would provide immediate competitive advantages while building foundation for long-term market dominance across multiple service categories and client segments. These partnerships would demonstrate the collaborative leadership approach that distinguished my business philosophy from Carmen and Derek's competitive tactics. Data Vision Analytics expanded their partnership commitment beyond project-specific collaboration to include comprehensive strategic alliance development that would provide my clients with access to advanced data science capabilities while offering their firm strategic consulting expertise for client relationship management and business development initiatives. The enhanced partnership included joint marketing initiatives, shared intellectual property development, and coordinated service delivery that would create competitive advantages unavailable through individual firm capabilities. The collaboration would position both organizations as innovation leaders within Phoenix's consulting community while providing operational efficiency through resource sharing and expertise integration. Phoenix Technology Solutions developed a comprehensive partnership framework that included technical implementation services, ongoing system maintenance, and advanced platform customization that would enable delivery of sophisticated solutions requiring both strategic consultation and technical expertise. Their partnership commitment included dedicated resource allocation for my client engagements, priority scheduling for implementation projects, and collaborative problem-solving for complex technical requirements that exceeded standard service packages. The alliance would provide competitive differentiation through superior technical capabilities, while offering Phoenix Technology Solutions access to strategic consulting opportunities with their existing client base. Establishing leadership positions within professional associations would provide platforms for demonstrating expertise while contributing to industry standards development and professional ethics enforcement. These positions would enhance credibility while creating opportunities to influence market expectations about consulting quality and ethical business conduct. The Arizona Marketing Professionals Association invited me to chair their ethics committee following concerns raised by multiple members about competitive practices within the local consulting community. The position would provide authority to investigate complaints about professional misconduct while establishing my reputation as an advocate for ethical business standards. The committee leadership role included responsibility for developing professional conduct guidelines, investigating ethics violations, and recommending disciplinary actions for association members who engaged in inappropriate competitive behavior. The position would provide both defensive protection against reputation attacks and offensive capabilities for addressing systematic misconduct by competitors. The Professional Services Marketing Alliance offered the opportunity to lead their performance measurement task force, which was developing industry standards for consulting outcome evaluation and client satisfaction assessment. The leadership position would provide visibility within the professional services community, while establishing my expertise in analytical methodologies and performance optimization. The task force leadership included responsibility for researching best practices, developing measurement frameworks, and creating educational content that would be distributed throughout the professional services marketing community. The position would establish thought leadership credentials while contributing to industry knowledge development in areas directly relevant to my competitive advantages. Developing systematic client advocacy required creating frameworks that would encourage satisfied clients to provide active support for my business development efforts, while protecting them from competitive pressure or reputation attacks from Martinez Creative Consulting. TechFlow Innovations agreed to serve as a reference client for prospective technology companies considering analytical consulting services. Their leadership team provided detailed testimonials about measurable outcomes achieved through my consulting methodologies, while offering to participate in case study development that would demonstrate superior capabilities compared to standard consulting approaches. The advocacy arrangement included their participation in industry presentations, conference panel discussions, and professional association events, where their success story would provide credible evidence of consulting effectiveness while establishing their reputation as innovative leaders within the technology community. Meridian Financial Advisors developed a formal referral program that would provide introductions to other wealth management firms and financial services organizations requiring similar analytical consulting services. Their established relationships within Phoenix's financial community would provide access to prospects who valued measurable outcomes and operational excellence. Their referral commitment included active recommendation of my services to professional colleagues, participation in financial services industry events where they would discuss their consulting experience, and collaborative content development that would showcase successful partnership outcomes while positioning both organizations as innovation leaders. Creating proprietary methodologies and analytical frameworks would provide sustainable competitive advantages while establishing intellectual property that could be licensed to strategic partners or educational institutions. These developments would demonstrate innovation leadership while creating revenue opportunities beyond direct client engagement. The comprehensive business intelligence framework represented a systematic approach to integrating multiple data sources for strategic decision-making that exceeded capabilities available through standard analytics platforms. The methodology included proprietary algorithms, assessment tools, and reporting formats that would provide clients with superior insights while creating competitive differentiation through exclusive capabilities. The framework development included comprehensive documentation, training materials, and certification programs that would enable scalable delivery while maintaining quality standards. The intellectual property would provide licensing opportunities with strategic partners, while establishing industry recognition for innovative analytical methodologies. The strategic partnership optimization model addressed the gap between partnership formation and sustainable collaboration success that had been identified through my experience with alliance development. The model included assessment tools, implementation frameworks, and performance measurement systems that would enable organizations to develop more effective partnership relationships. The model development included case study documentation, best practices analysis, and implementation guidelines that would provide valuable resources for organizations seeking to improve their collaborative capabilities, while establishing my expertise in partnership development and strategic alliance management. Supporting comprehensive competitive strategy required advanced technology capabilities that would enable superior service delivery while providing operational efficiency advantages over competitors who relied on standard consulting tools and methodologies. Advanced analytics platform integration included machine learning capabilities, predictive modeling tools, and automated reporting systems that would provide clients with insights unavailable through traditional consulting approaches. The platform investment would create competitive advantages while improving project delivery efficiency and outcome measurement accuracy. The platform implementation included comprehensive training, customization for consulting-specific requirements, and integration with existing client systems that would enable seamless service delivery while demonstrating technical sophistication that distinguished my practice from competitors who relied on basic analytical tools. Customer relationship management system enhancement provided comprehensive client interaction tracking, project management capabilities, and performance measurement tools that would enable superior client service while maintaining detailed documentation of consulting outcomes and relationship development. The system implementation included automated communication workflows, project milestone tracking, and client satisfaction monitoring that would ensure consistent service excellence while providing data for continuous improvement and competitive positioning initiatives. Sustainable competitive advantage required financial resources sufficient to support aggressive market expansion while maintaining operational excellence and service quality standards. The resource consolidation strategy focused on optimizing revenue generation while preparing for strategic investments that would accelerate competitive positioning. Revenue diversification included developing multiple income streams through direct client engagement, strategic partnership licensing, intellectual property development, and educational program delivery that would provide financial stability while reducing dependence on individual client relationships. The diversification strategy included systematic development of passive revenue opportunities through methodology licensing, online education platforms, and partnership arrangement optimization that would create sustainable financial advantages while expanding market influence beyond direct service delivery. Investment preparation included establishing relationships with business development funding sources, strategic partnership investors, and professional services acquisition firms that might provide capital for aggressive expansion initiatives while maintaining operational independence and strategic control. Comprehensive competitive strategy required ongoing intelligence about Martinez Creative Consulting's operations, client relationships, and strategic initiatives that would enable proactive competitive positioning while identifying opportunities for competitive advantage expansion. Industry intelligence network development included relationships with suppliers, contractors, and service providers who worked with multiple consulting firms and could provide insights about competitive activities, client satisfaction levels, and operational challenges affecting market dynamics. The intelligence network included technology vendors, professional associations, and industry publication sources that could provide early warning about competitive initiatives, while offering opportunities to influence market perception through strategic information sharing and thought leadership positioning. Competitive analysis framework implementation provided systematic monitoring of Martinez Creative Consulting's marketing messages, client announcements, and professional association activities that would enable rapid response to competitive threats while identifying opportunities for strategic positioning advantages. The Comprehensive Alliance and Resource Development Initiative created foundation for systematic competitive domination that would demonstrate the strategic miscalculation inherent in Carmen and Derek's decision to pursue reputation destruction rather than capability enhancement as their primary competitive strategy. The partnerships, leadership positions, client advocacy network, and intellectual property portfolio established multiple dimensions of competitive advantage that would be extremely difficult for Martinez Creative Consulting to replicate or neutralize through tactical responses. The financial resources, technology infrastructure, and market intelligence capabilities provided operational foundation for sustained competitive pressure, while maintaining the service excellence that had established initial market credibility and client satisfaction. The systematic approach to alliance building and resource development had transformed my independent consulting practice from defensive positioning into comprehensive market leadership preparation, setting the stage for strategic initiatives that would permanently alter Phoenix's consulting industry competitive landscape. The transition from alliance building to implementation required developing a comprehensive strategic framework that would coordinate multiple competitive initiatives while maintaining operational excellence and ethical business conduct. The planning process needed to address timing considerations, resource allocation priorities, and risk management strategies that would ensure sustainable competitive advantage while protecting against potential counterattacks from Martinez Creative Consulting. The strategic framework incorporated lessons learned from the awards ceremony confrontation, which had demonstrated that Carmen and Derek would respond to competitive pressure through reputation attacks and character assassination, rather than capability enhancement. Their tactical approach required strategic responses that would neutralize their ability to damage my professional credibility while simultaneously demonstrating superior consulting capabilities to the broader market. The planning methodology included scenario analysis, contingency preparation, and success measurement frameworks that would enable adaptive strategy implementation based on market responses and competitive developments. The comprehensive approach would provide flexibility for tactical adjustments while maintaining focus on the strategic objective of establishing permanent market dominance within Phoenix's consulting industry. Effective strategic implementation required detailed understanding of market segments where competitive advantages could be maximized, while minimizing Martinez Creative Consulting's ability to defend their existing positions or develop countermeasures. The segmentation analysis identified specific client categories, service requirements, and competitive dynamics that would influence tactical priorities and resource allocation decisions. Technology sector opportunities represented the highest potential for rapid market penetration and sustainable competitive advantage. The analytical sophistication requirements for technology companies exceeded Martinez Creative Consulting's capability development timeline, while their existing client relationships within this sector remained limited and vulnerable to superior service alternatives. Healthcare technology companies specifically required regulatory compliance expertise, data security considerations, and performance measurement frameworks that demanded specialized knowledge beyond general marketing consulting capabilities. The segment offered premium pricing opportunities, while creating barriers to competitive entry that would protect established client relationships from tactical attacks. Financial services sector analysis revealed significant opportunities for analytical consulting that addressed regulatory reporting requirements, client acquisition optimization, and retention strategy development. The sector's emphasis on measurable outcomes and risk management aligned perfectly with my analytical capabilities, while representing market segments where Martinez Creative Consulting had demonstrated limited penetration success. Professional services organizations required sophisticated understanding of client development processes, partnership marketing strategies, and referral network optimization that leveraged my industry experience while addressing operational challenges that most consulting firms were not equipped to handle effectively. The positioning strategy required careful balance between aggressive market capture and defensive protection against reputation attacks or client relationship interference from Martinez Creative Consulting. The approach would demonstrate superior capabilities while maintaining professional conduct that would enhance rather than compromise my industry reputation. Thought leadership positioning would establish expertise recognition through strategic content development, conference presentations, and professional association contributions that would create industry visibility while providing platforms for demonstrating analytical sophistication and operational excellence. The content strategy included developing comprehensive case studies that showcased measurable client outcomes, analytical methodologies that exceeded industry standards, and innovative approaches to consulting challenges that other firms had been unable to solve effectively. These materials would provide credible evidence of superior capabilities, while establishing intellectual property that competitors could not easily replicate. Industry standard development initiatives would position my practice as a leader in consulting methodology innovation, while contributing to professional association efforts to establish performance measurement requirements and ethical conduct expectations. These contributions would create positive industry recognition, while potentially exposing Martinez Creative Consulting's operational deficiencies and ethical shortcomings. The client acquisition strategy required systematic approaches for identifying prospects, developing relationships, and converting opportunities into long-term client engagements, while protecting against competitive interference or reputation attacks during the sales process. Prospect identification methodology included comprehensive research about target companies, their strategic challenges, and their current consulting relationships that would enable customized approach strategies and value proposition development. The research would identify specific pain points where my analytical capabilities could provide superior solutions compared to their existing service providers. Relationship development protocols included multiple touchpoint strategies that would establish credibility through valuable insights and strategic recommendations before formal proposal processes began. This approach would create competitive advantages based on demonstrated value rather than price competition or relationship manipulation. Proposal development frameworks included comprehensive analytical assessments of prospect requirements, detailed methodology descriptions, and success measurement criteria that would differentiate my approach from standard consulting proposals, while providing clear justification for premium pricing levels. Implementing comprehensive competitive strategy required operational systems that would maintain service quality standards while managing increased client engagement complexity and competitive pressure from Martinez Creative Consulting's defensive responses. Project management enhancement included advanced scheduling systems, resource allocation optimization, and quality control mechanisms that would ensure consistent delivery excellence, while enabling simultaneous management of multiple complex client engagements without compromising individual project outcomes. Client communication protocols included regular progress reporting, strategic consultation sessions, and performance measurement reviews that would maintain strong client relationships while providing transparency about project status and deliverable quality. These systems would create client satisfaction levels that would be difficult for competitors to match or undermine. Quality assurance frameworks included systematic review processes, peer consultation networks, and continuous improvement methodologies that would ensure deliverable excellence while identifying opportunities for service enhancement and competitive differentiation expansion. Advanced technology capabilities would provide operational efficiency advantages while enabling service delivery sophistication that exceeded Martinez Creative Consulting's technical capabilities and operational systems. Analytics platform integration included machine learning algorithms, predictive modeling capabilities, and automated reporting systems that would provide clients with insights unavailable through traditional consulting approaches, while demonstrating technical sophistication that distinguished my practice from competitors who relied on standard analytical tools. The platform implementation required comprehensive training, system customization, and integration protocols that would enable seamless client service delivery while maintaining data security and confidentiality standards appropriate for sensitive business information. Customer relationship management system optimization included automated workflow development, client interaction tracking, and performance measurement integration that would enable superior client service while maintaining detailed documentation of consulting outcomes and relationship development progress. Sustainable competitive advantage required financial planning that would support aggressive market expansion while maintaining operational stability and service quality standards during extended competitive campaigns. Revenue optimization included pricing strategy development that would maximize profit margins while remaining competitive for sophisticated consulting requirements. The pricing framework included value-based fee structures that aligned consultant compensation with measurable client outcomes, rather than time-based billing that might limit revenue potential. Investment planning included technology infrastructure, capability development, and marketing initiative budgeting that would support strategic implementation while maintaining financial reserves for unexpected competitive challenges or expansion opportunities that might emerge during campaign execution. Cash flow management included diversified revenue stream development through direct client engagement, partnership licensing arrangements, and intellectual property monetization that would provide financial stability while reducing dependence on individual client relationships that might be vulnerable to competitive attacks. Comprehensive strategic implementation required identification and preparation for potential risks that could compromise competitive success or create vulnerabilities that Martinez Creative Consulting might exploit through tactical responses. Reputation protection strategies included documentation protocols, witness network development, and legal consultation arrangements that would provide defensive capabilities if Carmen and Derek escalated their character assassination campaigns beyond the award ceremony incident. Client relationship protection included contract structuring, communication protocols, and service delivery enhancement that would strengthen client loyalty while creating switching costs that would discourage client defection to competitors offering similar services at lower prices. Competitive response preparation included scenario planning for potential Martinez Creative Consulting counterattacks, market manipulation attempts, and reputation damage campaigns that would require rapid tactical responses to minimize impact while maintaining strategic momentum. Strategic success required comprehensive measurement systems that would track progress toward competitive objectives while enabling adaptive strategy modification based on market responses and competitive developments. Market share analysis included systematic monitoring of competitive positioning within target market segments, client acquisition rates compared to industry averages, and retention statistics that would indicate effectiveness of competitive strategies and operational excellence initiatives. Financial performance measurement included revenue growth tracking, profit margin analysis, and return on investment calculations for strategic initiatives that would provide objective assessment of competitive campaign effectiveness while identifying optimization opportunities for resource allocation adjustments. Client satisfaction monitoring included systematic feedback collection, retention rate analysis, and referral generation measurement that would indicate service quality effectiveness while providing early warning signals about potential competitive vulnerabilities or client relationship challenges. Implementation success required careful coordination of multiple strategic initiatives with appropriate timing considerations that would maximize competitive impact while maintaining operational excellence and client service quality. Phase 1 implementation would focus on thought leadership establishment and industry positioning initiatives that would create credibility foundation for subsequent competitive activities. This phase would include conference presentations, professional association leadership, and content development that would establish expertise recognition within the consulting community. Phase 2 would emphasize aggressive client acquisition within priority market segments, while implementing operational excellence standards that would ensure superior service delivery compared to Martinez Creative Consulting's capabilities. This phase would include systematic prospect development, proposal superiority demonstration, and client relationship fortification. Phase 3 would focus on market domination consolidation through strategic alliance expansion, intellectual property monetization, and industry standard influence that would establish permanent competitive advantages while eliminating Martinez Creative Consulting's ability to compete effectively within Phoenix's consulting market. The strategic planning and preparation process had created comprehensive foundation for systematic competitive domination that addressed every aspect of business competition, from capability development through market positioning to operational excellence and client relationship management. The framework provided clear guidance for tactical implementation while maintaining flexibility for adaptive responses to competitive developments and market evolution. The systematic approach would enable sustained competitive pressure while maintaining ethical business conduct and professional integrity throughout the campaign implementation. The preparation phase had established operational capabilities, strategic alliances, and competitive intelligence that would support total market victory, while demonstrating the strategic sophistication that distinguished my approach from Martinez Creative Consulting's opportunistic tactics and reputation manipulation campaigns. The comprehensive strategic framework was complete, and the implementation phase was ready to commence with confidence that superior preparation would enable decisive competitive victory. Up next, you've got two more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.